Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. There are 16 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. None of the new cases are in the zone that includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. 6 cases are in Saskatoon, 3 in the Central East, 2 in Regina, 2 in the Southeast, 1 in the far Northwest, and 1 in the North Central area, and the location of 1 other case is pending. 139 cases are considered active. 2 people are in hospital, with 1 of those in intensive care. Saskatchewan's Chief Medical Health Officer is asking people to keep your extended household small and potentially reduce your number of regular contacts. City Council is preparing to sell the community service building site, giving administration approval to begin the process. Eric Bay has more.
There will be a 3-month process to ready the land for sale after council debated holding on to the land for municipal services in the future.
As a municipality, we need to not move so quickly in making this decision because it really could have long-term effects. And 50 years out from now, we are going to need more municipal services, whether or not there is a need for them directly within the civic square or not. I guess our administration has evaluated that, and there isn't a direct need for it right now.
Other councillors brought up the funds from the sale could help speed the process of a new LCSC building and the potential that any development could be included in the downtown area redevelopment plan.
From the DARP's perspective, certainly there may be a business that's looking for still in the downtown, but that very close proximity to 16 Highway. So I think there's certainly opportunities, and I think that's what administration was looking for, was that opportunity to go looking for those opportunities. And our economic development team and land division will work together with potential developers.
The decision to sell would have to be approved by council, giving them another opportunity to look at the city's needs, which was Councillor Monroe's biggest concern initiating the sale process.
Even though we have reviewed it, it's been a very short time span that we've had the ability to really look into exactly what our needs are for that long-term vision. So I just don't want to be known as the council 25 or 50 years from now wondering why they sold it.
The land can also be subdivided, which would have to be reviewed by council before being approved. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
The longtime general manager of Nelson Lumber, Sheldon Weinrock, is putting his name on the ballot for City Council. Weinrock, who has been in the community for over 40 years and believes his experience as a general manager could help provide an inside look at fiscal responsibility for the city, and that could give him an advantage. Another area he wants to focus on, bringing more people to the city.
I really want to focus on promoting Lloydminster as a place for people to come, for families to come, for businesses to come. Between Saskatoon and Edmonton, we're the only major center, and I believe it's important to continue to promote that. So that's what I intend to do as well.
If elected, he wants to be someone that can do his part for the city and citizens.
I will do my best to do right by the citizens of Lloydminster. I don't take the fact that I'm spending their money. Whenever we're spending money, we're spending their money. It's my money as well, but it's also all the citizens of Lloydminster. And that's important to me, to make sure that the citizens understand that I do take that responsibility, and I don't take it lightly.
If residents have any more questions, they can reach out to him through his Facebook page. The election will take place November 9th. The Lloydminster riding has a new candidate for the Saskatchewan election looking to be elected under the Buffalo Party. Steve Gessner is a Maidstone resident and a farmer. He recently announced he is running in this election. He wants to show the Saskatchewan government that they're underutilizing the people of the province.
First and foremost, make our Saskatchewan government accountable to the people of Saskatchewan. We have some of the best people in the world right here. Some of the greatest minds in the world are right here, and they're not being utilized simply because of controls that are beyond our provincial boundaries.
Gessner has lived in the Lloydminster riding for over 30 years and wants to provide help to residents for their daily problems.
I'm not running for election. I'm applying for a job. The people of Lloydminster constituency need someone with backbone in that legislative assembly to help them with their day-to-day problems. And as our interim leader, Wade Sira, told us, you're being hired by this constituency first, the province second.
The Buffalo Party of Saskatchewan released their full platform yesterday afternoon. A deli where South Africans in Canada can have a taste of home. It's called Out of Africa Deli, and they plan to start delivering their delicious food to Lloydminster residents. Our Shelby Clark chatted with the owners for more.
Joining me today is Helen and Heloise with Out of Africa Deli. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Out of Africa Deli is a place that gives South Africans in Canada a taste of home. What's all involved in the cuisine?
It's mostly South African dried, like cured products. So it's biltong, droëwors, chili bites. We do boerewors, and then we do cook sisters and like caramel treats. And we've got a few other dishes that we are working on, but they're not in production yet.
And can you kind of explain more on what you guys do over in Cut Knife with deliveries and everything?
So basically in Cut Knife, we make all of our products, and then we can post it anywhere in Canada, except our boerewors and cook sisters, because the boerewors is a raw product. So we normally, if we got a big enough onset, we'll deliver it at a specific place close to us. Or we've actually had clients that drive through and come and get products from us.
And this business is located in Cut Knife. Is it true that the deli will be coming to Lloydminster area?
Yes, we would be coming through to Lloydminster area. If we get enough orders in, then we will drive through to deliver it to the clients.
And how has support been so far with this deli?
Helena and myself actually started this a year ago. In our backyard, funny enough. We had a South African barbecue, and we had some friends over, and some of them were doctors from Unity, and we just used to make it for ourselves, for nobody else, just a little bit of home. And we had it for like, we just put it out on the table for everybody to taste, and one of our doctor's friends said like, who made this? And we said we did, and he said, you guys need to start a business. So yeah, that's how Out of Africa Deli was born, basically at a South African barbecue.
And what do you think is the importance of this Out of Africa Deli for residents to enjoy?
It's like, it brings a little bit of home, because we are so far away from all our loved ones and family. To have something, we don't actually call it a barbecue, we call it a braai. So having it at a South African braai, it just makes you just that little bit of longing. It just brings it back. It gives you a taste of home. And so to us, it's very special.
And has the COVID-19 pandemic been an issue when it's coming to this deli?
No, not at all, because we work in a sanitized environment. So we work in a clean, certified kitchen, and all of our meat that we receive, we get it from actually the butcher in our town, so everything is registered. So we just had to work a bit more sanitized. So everything has been sanitized before. We've been sealing it and storing and sending it away to our clients.
And how do you plan to avoid the COVID-19 when you're doing the deliveries, especially for Lloydminster residents?
So everything was already vacuum sealed and packed. So basically, we are all masked up, and we just hand over the already sealed and the box with your goodies in it. We just hand it over to the client. Or normally what we do is they just open the car trunk, and we put the parcel in their car, so that we don't have any contact with the client.
And do you expect to get lots of support now that going into the Lloydminster area?
We really hope so. We've got a great product. We've got excellent service delivery, and we believe in the best quality of the product that we are making. And we're making it with love, just like we would like to eat it.
Is there anything else you want to add for residents to know about for Out of Africa Deli?
She's not very talkative. Basically, we are just two moms doing something to stay at home with our kids, basically, because being in a foreign country, we don't have any aunts or cousins or grandmas and granddads that can look after our kids if they get sick, or any of that. So we are just trying to do something that's contributing to the community for us to be at home with our kids and just to show them that they can do anything possible if they just put their mind to it.
Perfect. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
Now our Eric Bay will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks, Jasmine. Another sunny one here today in the border city. A little windy, and we are going to see that continue over the next 3 days, but again, that sun will continue as well. Currently sitting at 16 degrees here in Lloydminster. That's going to drop down a little bit overnight, but not too far, so still should be a pretty enjoyable morning. As we take a look now to the rest of the region, pretty similar temperatures all across the border there, as we see 15 in Marwayne, 16 in both Vermilion and Vegreville, 16s in Cold Lake and Bonnyville. Up in the north, 15 over in Lac La Biche. Edmonton also seeing 16 and 15 degrees down in Provost. And now as we take a look at the other side of the border up in the north, a little bit chillier, 12 degrees you see there in Isle La Crosse, 14 in Green Lake, 16 degrees in Meadow Lake, 16 as well in Pierceland, 14 degrees in St. Walburg. We're seeing 14 as well in Maidstone as we move further east down Highway 16, 17 in North Battleford, and 17 in Macklin down in the south. Taking a look here at your satellite radar, you see a little bit of that precipitation up here in the north. Cold Lake, we'll be seeing some of that coming in the morning as well, Isle La Crosse, but we should be missing most of that in Lloydminster. Again, a little bit of cloud coverage over the night, but nothing too severe. Vegreville and Vermilion as well, as you see in this area, they're going to also see a little bit of that precipitation as well occur over the night. Taking a look here now at the next 24 hours in Lloydminster, dropping down to 2 degrees, but clearing up overnight before 13 degrees tomorrow. We are going to see some of those clouds start to build up as we move through the morning and into the afternoon, not reaching quite as high as we did today. North Battleford as well is going to see some more of the same, 14 degrees tomorrow. They're also going to see some of that cloud cover kind of roll in around that noon hour as well. And Cold Lake, they're going to see 13 with some cloud coverage as well. There's a chance that there could be a 30% chance of that rain rolling in the afternoon. Taking a look here now at your 3-day forecast, as I mentioned, dropping down a little bit tomorrow, but then picking back up at 16 degrees on Thursday, that mix of sun and cloud before 12 degrees and a little mix of sun and cloud to kick off your weekend. We're going to have more primetime local news after the break.
Temperatures are starting to drop, meaning many outdoor sports are wrapping up. This includes golf. Evan Kenny sat down with Marty Wheaton for details on the end of the season.
Well, with the temperatures starting to get colder, it might start to affect your golf game as well. Golf will not be open for too much longer in the season. Joining me today to talk about all this is Marty Wheaton from the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Club. Marty, thank you for joining me.
Morning, Evan.
Now, Marty, I guess we just talked off camera. You mentioned it. The course is going to be closing just after this holiday Monday coming up here. What are a couple tips for people as the temperatures start getting colder while they're out playing the links?
I think the main thing is just being prepared. The weather shifts and changes so much. So, you see a lot of golfers out here, 3 or 4 layers of clothing. Definitely the toques and mitts are out at this time of year. So being prepared is probably the number one thing. And then always encourage people take more club when it's cold out, kind of chip the ball around, especially when you're wearing that many layers, you're a little restricted with your motion. So those would be a couple things anyways for the cold weather.
Now, Marty, with the ground obviously getting colder, how much does this affect just the roll of your ball? And you mentioned it, you got to take that extra club up when it gets colder, but do you think that roll also affects things?
Yeah, I think things are starting to firm up a little bit, so you get a little more roll on your drives, which is nice. And this time of year, we do get a lot of good comments about the condition of the greens. I think a lot of the times the dormant grass allows the speed to be a little bit better, roll a little bit more truer. You don't have that grass reaching out for the sun. It's a little more dormant this time of year.
And now one thing that when I read up on this and every time I've heard about it is warming up before you go out. I mean, obviously warming up is important every time before you go out golfing, but how much more important is it when these numbers start to get lower in the temperatures?
Yeah, definitely. Just even a 15 to 20-minute practice session, just get the body going in the morning. And obviously, our practice facilities, we have a great driving range and short game facility. So it's always good to take advantage of that before going out.
Now, I know for myself, as well as many golfers out there, we all complain about how the cold is adding those numbers to our score. Does the cold actually affect it as much as golfers like myself like to think it does?
You always got to have some sort of excuse in the back pocket, right? To make sure that you have that in there for your score. But certainly, I think range of motion's the biggest thing that it affects, which is very important in golf. So it is a little bit more difficult with the colder conditions.
Marty, it's always a pleasure getting to chat with you about golf. This was Marty Wheaton, and just as a reminder, the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Club will be closing just after this long weekend. Marty, thank you for joining me.
Thanks again, Evan. Take care.
Now our Eric Bay will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks, Jasmine. Once again, back here with a look at your local weather, and another nice one here today. A little bit of that breeze that will continue here into the evening. As we take a look now at your local temperatures around the region, we're seeing currently 15 in Lloydminster, so that temperature has dropped a degree. 16 up in Cold Lake. They're expecting a very clear evening before they do pick up with some of that cloud cover, potential rain in the forecast tomorrow. Athabasca seeing 16 today. Whitecourt at 15. Edson and Edmonton both seeing 17. 17 as well in Jasper over in the mountains, 12 in Rocky Mountain House, and 13 over in Red Deer. Now taking a look at the Saskatchewan side of the border, we're seeing 16 degrees right now in Meadow Lake, 13 in Prince Albert, down to 9 in Melfort, and Saskatoon is sitting at a warm 18 degrees. Currently now up in the north, 6 degrees in Uranium City, 7 in Stony Rapids, 6 in Wollaston Lake, 7 in South End, 12 is what it is in La Ronge, and 8 over in Flin Flon. And as we take a look now over at the Alberta side of the border, Fort Chip is seeing 8 degrees currently. Fort Mac is sitting at 10 degrees, 15 in Slave Lake, and 15 over in Grand Prairie. 14 as well in Peace River. Now as we go down south into the southern parts of the province, 20 degrees right now in Medicine Hat. Lethbridge hitting a high of 25 today, pretty nice one there. 15 over in Calgary and 16 degrees in Banff. And as we move over to the Saskatchewan side of the border, again, pretty similar all across the board here on your prairies. 13 degrees in Kindersley, 13 in Swift Current, 16 in both Moose Jaw and Regina, 17 in Estevan, and 15 in Yorkton. Now as we take a look nationally across the board, again, pretty warm for the most part. We're seeing mostly the same temperatures here, those double digits, low teens, 14 degrees in Quebec City, 18 in Toronto. St. John sitting down at 7 and a cold 1 degree in Iqaluit, seeing little flakes there. 15 degrees in Vancouver, warm 17 in Edmonton as I mentioned, and 10 degrees in Whitehorse. Now as we take a look overnight at your temperatures around the region, again, sitting pretty warm. They're going to stay in the positive degrees there. Murnum and Wainwright both going to be your low points at 0 degrees. They're going to see very clear evenings as well there. Paradise Hill, Bonnyville, they're both sitting at 2. Unity as well is going to see 2. A little more cloud cover in Isle La Crosse, down to 5 degrees there, and 3 degrees in Meadow Lake. And taking a look here now, tomorrow we're going to see again pretty similar to today, a little bit cooler temperatures, but you see that cloud cover that will start to build here throughout the day. As I mentioned earlier, up to 6 degrees by recess, getting into those double digits and 10 at lunch, and then 13 by the end of the day when school is out, and again with that cloud cover coming in. As we see a little cooler around the entire region tomorrow, 13 Lloyd, 13 in Marwayne, Vermilion and Vegreville as well, 13 in Maidstone, and 13 up in Cold Lake and Bonnyville as well. Here now at your 7-day forecast, and you do see that dip tomorrow, then it's going to pop right back up there on Thursday. 16 degrees Friday, drops a little bit down again, 12 degrees, and then a warm 20 degrees on Saturday, looking pretty good for those farmers still looking to wrap up their harvest. Again, 12 degrees on Sunday, a little more of that cloud cover rolling in, a little less sunshine before that sun does start to peak out again, and 11 degrees on Monday before 10 degrees on Tuesday to wrap up your next 7 days, sitting pretty close to those yearly averages. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Pet Project. I'm joined once again with Becca Lawrence. Becca, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So who do we got here? Who's this little fuzzy guy?
This pretty gal here is Aaliyah. She is one of our semi-senior citizens here at the shelter. We think that she's around 9 or 10 years old, but still tons of life in her, quite happy and quite affectionate as well.
Oh, well, that's good. So, like you were saying, she's a little older. So, is she a bit of a mellow cat now? You know, I know when cats get a little bit older, oftentimes they get lazier. You know, start sleeping more during the day. How is she? Is she a fairly active cat, or?
Yeah, like now that she's been out, she's pretty curious about what's going on around her right now. But for the most part, I mean, she's pretty much just chilling out in her kennel and sleeping, snoozing the day away. And then, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, she's quite calm and not really too crazy or anything like that.
Perfect. So if somebody needed somebody to watch TV with, seems like the perfect type of cat. How is she with other animals? Does she share a cat condo or anything like that?
I think so far we have tried her, and then it hasn't really worked out too well. But she's also kind of a picky eater, so we've been keeping her in a bay, you know, just to kind of make sure she's actually getting some food and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure out the food that she likes the best. But yeah, as of right now, she hasn't made any friends at the shelter.
Well, hopefully soon. So we were just speaking off camera briefly there, Becca, but you had mentioned that you guys have another adoption event coming up here shortly, the Fall Feline Frenzy, I do believe?
Yes. Yeah, no, normally in the fall we see another influx of our kittens and intakes, and you know, the weather starts getting a little bit cooler, so we start seeing more cats again. So we've pretty much filled up after our last event that we had in August. So it's time for our Fall Feline Frenzy. We're going to have it close to the end of October, before Halloween. And we're going to do like a spin your wheel of deals kind of thing. So it's going to be fun that way. But yeah, so we're going to have another discounted adoption event for our kitties in a couple weeks.
Well, that's good to hear. And how are you guys doing for cat numbers right now? I know you mentioned that, you know, you're expecting a fall influx as it usually happens. But how are you right now? Do you guys have, you know, space to take in some more cats? Or I know last time we talked, you guys were getting on the full side of things.
Yeah, no, we're pretty much full. You know, we have, I think, close to 90 cats in total in our care. A lot of those are kittens in foster, quite the little model babies, things like that. But yeah, most of our condos and our kennels are all full from our adult cats. So we're pretty full.
All right, so if anybody out there is looking for a cat or a kitten, you know, make sure to stop on by. 'Tis the season. So last week we were speaking, Becca, about your annual general meeting, your AGM, which happened last week. So why don't you tell me about that? How did things go? What did you guys discuss?
Yeah, so we did it by Zoom. So it was a bit of a different kind of atmosphere. So there wasn't as much talking, unfortunately. But, you know, we went through everything that we did in 2019. It was a good year. And, you know, obviously 2020 AGM is going to be a little bit different. But yeah, no, it was really good. You know, we had a few people attend. A couple of vet clinics were here and in attendance kind of thing. And yeah, we just went over, you know, everything that we did in 2019 and what we hope to see for the rest of 2020.
Very nice. Well, we got just about a minute here left. How about your dogs, Becca? I always like to ask, you know, I know that there are lots of cats right now, but how about dogs? Do you have any available at the SPCA right now?
Yeah, actually, I think even from last week, we probably accumulated about 4 or 5 more dogs. So we definitely have some that are up for viewing. So yeah, people can definitely book their appointments to come and see what dogs that we have, and they can meet them and see if the match is right, kind of thing. And then they will all be booked in for their spay neuters as soon as we can get them in. And yeah, then they'll be good to go to their new forever home.
Beautiful. Well, good to hear. So if anybody out there is looking for a dog, you got a few options as well. There are lots of cats at the SPCA. So if you want to help out, if you want to do a good deed, certainly adopting a cat, taking care of it would be a nice thing to do. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week, Becca. We'll speak with you again next week.
Awesome. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
Joined today with Craig and Jason from a new, exciting, and unique business that'll be opening up here in Lloydminster called You Betcha. Thank you guys for both joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, well, just starting off, can you guys tell me a little bit about what You Betcha is?
Well, about 3 years ago, we work was getting a little scarce here in Lloydminster as far as the oil field. We were both in the oil field, we had watched the show before, Storage Wars, so we kind of started to pick around to see if we could find anything that would be interesting to us, and it happened to be that there was something similar but more online bidding and stuff. So we figured we'd try it out, and we did some Facebook sales to see how it would go, and then yard sales and whatever else, and kind of caught our eye eventually, and we decided to try to open up stores.
So basically you're going to have a store and it's going to be full of different stuff that you guys found from different storage units and stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So can you just talk a little bit about these online auctions? How do they work versus what people are used to seeing on Storage Wars on TV and stuff like that?
Well, obviously from watching the show, people are going to see that, people are making $5,000-$10,000 of dollars, but that stuff is staged. Yes, we find good things. We find antiques, we find cards, we find stamps, we find coins, we find,
comic books,
yeah,
records, all that kind of stuff. Little collectible stuff. And furniture, shelving, and whatever else people need.
And how long have you guys been buying these storage units?
A few years now. Just off and on. It wasn't continuous. It was kind of off and on to start.
It started as a hobby, to be honest with you, because sitting at home every day and not being able to find work or whatever. So, that's what it started off as, and then eventually, it started to be like, let's do it more often, and then eventually we said, well, let's see if we can make a store out of it. There's lots of thrift stores around that are for nonprofit, and we're just two young fellers, actually single parents, both of us, taking care of our children, and said, you know what, let's make a go of this, see if we can make it work.
So just talk to me a little bit about the store. When's it going to open, and what's it going to be like for people who come in?
Well, we're hoping tomorrow at some point to open, but we've got a lot of work still ahead of us. So we'll see how it goes from now until then, and it might be delayed a day, but we're going to try and get it open as soon as possible. And obviously, it's more of a secluded area, a little less traffic or whatever, but a lot more parking, so we're not annoying neighbors or whoever else. So hopefully it's a little more convenient for everybody.
And where are you guys located?
We're located in, it's actually not far from the new bowling alley here in Lloydminster. It's on 5511 70th Avenue. It's in the LaVenture Incorporated building, and we're in the 10th Bay, facing the front of the building. So we got about 1,470 square feet here, and we took most of the, like I said, it started out to be in the garage kind of deal, where a lot of small places start their little small ventures, and we're using that kind of shelving. We're slowly purchasing some like clothing racks and stuff to get started, but for now we're just going to try to open like what we have, and try to build it from there.
So for when people who are looking to find more, or to make sure that you guys are open when you guys are opening, what's the best place for people to find information about You Betcha?
Well, I've been posting a lot on my Facebook webpage. I've been sharing it, trying to get people, to follow us. We know a lot of people around town because, like I said, we've been doing this a while, so people know we've sold stuff and they know our names. And like I said, I apologize to some of the neighbors for trying the yard sale season this year, because we did that for about 5 weeks in a row. But, like sometimes I just didn't want to stick my head first, head in too deep, just trying to see if people had some interest. And we got a lot of good feedback. So people wanted to see us continue this winter, and the only way we could do it was to start a business and to get the proper licensing and permits, and then here we are. So.
And can you just talk a little bit about what it's like opening a business during uncertain times? The past few months have been very chaotic and different than most. So what's it like starting a new local business here in Lloydminster?
Well, hopefully it's a little scary, but hopefully we can make a good go of it. I mean, we don't really know if it's going to succeed or not yet, so we know if we have enough customers or whatever, but we're just hoping for the best really right now and just kind of winging it.
It's like I kind of said on Facebook earlier this week. I said, we could have laid down and just, gave up on what's going on in the world today, or we could just step up and say, like, let's try to do something here. We don't have a lot of overhead. We now have rent, but we rent trailer from a good friend in town, and all the stuff we have now is ours. So we're good. We need to keep buying, and it keeps stocking shelves, and and I think people are gonna like it. It's like I said, we're not trying to take away from anything else in town, like thrift stores and stuff like that are for nonprofit. We think those companies are great. We've actually donated lots of stuff to men's shelters, women's shelters in town. Churches. We've donated to people in recovery. We've donated last Christmas. We donated some kids' toys to like single parents, and so we're trying to help out as well as to try to succeed. So.
All right. Well, thank you both, Craig and Jason from You Betcha. I wish you guys the best of luck when you guys start to get open this week. And thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
A great 7 days coming up here for Lloydminster. Again, great to finish that harvest, or as Evan mentioned earlier, get some golf in before the end of the season, topped off with that 20 degrees on Saturday.
Thanks for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.